Welcome to our devotions for today, Tuesday. And it is again, as usual, a joy and a privilege to be with you and to share in this time with you. I trust that the night has been a peaceful night, and that as we go into this new day, that we are all ready for the day and all that this day has to offer us. I am delighted this morning that we are able to be here again and that we can share these thoughts together as we continue this wonderful pilgrimage that is before us. So, welcome to our devotions for today, and we ask that God may guide us all as we come into this space of quiet and peace and give God thanks for the day. I'd like you now to just find a quiet place where you will not be disturbed, a place where you will be able to be quiet, as we say, be still and know that I am God. It is that wonderful place of quietness and peace that we are seeking to come to, so that in one way or another we may truly be able to have that sense of stillness going on in our lives. And so we come to that place now where we allow ourselves to be still, to be at peace, to feel that strong sense of God's divine presence, to know the love of the divine in our hearts, and to know that God is here. To know that we are not alone. And so we take a deep breath, and as we take a deep breath, we extend our hands out in a gesture of giving and receiving. We acknowledge that we're not alone. We acknowledge that we are connected. And we feel the presence of each other. With hands out, we open ourselves to receive, and we open ourselves to give. We acknowledge that nothing that we have is ours, that we are but conduits, agents, beings that are part of a greater whole. And our desire and our intention is to be aware of that greater whole, and to perceive that greater whole at work in us and through us. We hold as our center all those who in this moment feel disconnected from our world, disconnected in one way or another, especially those who have lost loved ones and feel as though they are being severed we hold them in the center, reinforcing the truth that they're not alone, that even the ones that they have been parted from are not away from them but are still present to them. We hold this. We hold this divine love, this divine grace together. O source of all that is, the one we call by many names, we are here in your presence as we can be nowhere else at any moment of our existence. Assist us daily in growing more into what we are beyond our forgetting. May we seek to allow our experience to keep pace with what we are learning. We are thankful for this time to explore, expand, and understand. We further say thanks for the gift of those whose commitment to growing and becoming has provided us with blueprints for this journey. We say thanks. As we move our attention to our reading for today, and as we listen to what God is saying to us, so when the Pharisees heard that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together, and one of them, a lawyer, asked him a question to test him. Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest? He said to him, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. This is the word of the Lord. As is always the case, Jesus is forever being tested. And this time is no different. But Jesus has an answer, as usual, for all those who will ask. There's always a response. There's always something that Jesus could say to be able to deal with those who are willing to ask him other questions. The commandment Jesus offers us is the commandment to love God. To love God with all one's self. It's the greatest of all commandments. How do we prepare? How do we get it all ready? As usual, it appears that it is all about you and me. It is all about the work that we are able to do in this journey. Simple work. The simple work of reclaiming what we have forgotten. The simple work of remembering that we are children of God. This morning, as you join with me and others, listening to what God is saying to us in our hearts, I invite you to listen deliberately to your heart and to listen to what that source of all love is saying. This commandment that Jesus reminds us of this day is also a way of reminding us of the way in which we are able to have that direct guidance by the Almighty. When we love God with our entire essence, which itself is God, when we love God from that place, there's nothing that blocks the guidance. There is nothing that prevents us from being able to receive all that God would have us receive in this time. When in the past we cleaned our floors and washed our windows and spruced up our homes with the new curtains and the new carpets and the new mats at the door, when we spread down the marl on the outside and we brought in our Christmas tree, or we had our snow on the mountain, when we did all of that, we were preparing ourselves to have an experience of Christmas Day that was fresh. And we topped it off. Tired as we were, by going out to midnight mass or 5 o'clock service in the morning and singing that hymn that everyone likes to hear. Hark the herald angels sing. And with the singing of that hymn, it just made everything seem so perfect. As a matter of fact, if anyone dared have an early morning service and that hymn wasn't sung, well, you better go and hide. All of that was intended to go towards the one thing, being able to receive in one's heart the presence of the Christ. I don't know if we ever thought about it carefully, if we ever reflected on all that was going on. The smell of fresh paint, the smell of fresh polish, the smell of a turkey baking or ham baking, the sights, lights flickering, all of our senses being stimulated at the same time. Even the freshness in the air, the little chill that you get on Christmas, and the reminder that Christmas is in the air. Yes, all of that. The joy that just seemed to bubble up from somewhere. It is not anything that has happened on the outside, but there's just this feeling of lightness, of joy, of what's that? What's that about? Where is it from? What's causing it? It's all part of that self-preparation. You know, sometimes in the past, persons would, from various pulpits, be annoyed and quarrel with people because they're spending so much time getting their homes ready. And sometimes the attendance at church in Advent was really low. And there was annoyance. And we talked more about putting the Christ back in Christmas and all those kind of statements. And many felt justified in making these statements. But I believe Christ was always in Christmas. Those folks that are found in church every single Sunday for a whole year and then begin to miss on those times in around Christmas or just before Christmas, they couldn't have lost Christ. Not if they were embracing Christ throughout the year. No. Even if they were home shopping, even if they were home preparing their homes. And unfortunately, it is reality that many of them had to work at Christmas and were therefore not able to be at church. But whatever the circumstance, those faithful persons were doing their utmost to receive the Christ presence. They may not have understood it fully, but they were doing what they had to do to bring themselves to that space, to that experience. There must be something really powerful about Christmas Day. And it's not about the 25th of December. It could have been any other day. The day is not the thing. Or the date is not the thing. But it's the day. It is the day that the world, or most of the world, or a good part of the world, focuses on the Christ's presence. That's it. No matter if part of that energy is about shopping. There is an energy of love, an energy of family and giftedness and warmth and being together that cuts across all doctrines and dogmas and belief systems, and it brings us to the commandment Jesus spoke of today. Love the Lord with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, and with all your strength. That's what that day does. It brings us all into that space of love. Some maybe at a deeper level than others, but the whole energy is a movement towards love. And be honest, some of those whom we think are on the fringes of it, it may very well be their activity that causes us to go deep. Because when folks in the so-called secular world begin to decorate their stores and decorate their homes and play music or even perform music for whatever purposes thereafter. The fact is that it is because of what they have done that those who see themselves as focusing more on the Christ presence, because of what they do, we go deeper. If they didn't do what they did, we wouldn't get that extra boost to go deeper. So you see, everything is involved and everyone is involved. So let's continue the work of preparing, of getting ourselves ready, of noticing and knowing that this wonderful event, this Christ event, is the event that reminds us to love God with everything. Leave nothing out of this love for God. By grace, we are being saved day by day.